Yes. Good afternoon, one and all. I am here. This is my first session for you, and let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Vinuta P. Kunderi, Assistant Professor, Department of Studies and Research in English, Karnataka State Open University. So, as per the timetable, today maybe you have already attended three of the sessions. Today is the this is the fourth session. Today I'll be talking to you about two important post-colonial novels, that is Heart of Darkness and A Passage to India. Heart of Darkness is written by Joseph Conrad, and Passage to India is written by E.M. Foster. So this two of the novels is prescribed for you, and both the novels have a similar backdrop. Maybe at the cultural context, socio-political context, they stand different. Whereas the backdrop of the story uh, that seems to be similar is the post-colonial aspect. It seems to be similar in both the novels. As I told you before, the cultural context differs. How they differ is because when we look at Heart of Darkness, the backdrop of post-coloniality or post-colonial aspect speaks about the Western encounter, that is African. The setup is African. The story speaks about the African colonialism. And when we come to A Passage to India, the story speaks of our native cultural aspect, that is East encounter. So the common element which connects African to Indian cultural context, they have similar aspect. The similar backdrop is that the colonial aspects, the colonizer who have tried to capture the natives as a symbol of empowerment, okay, as a symbol of their intellectuality, their it's a symbol of mm, uh, their color, their complexion. Their color stands as the epitome of brilliance, intelligence. So this is how the story goes around. And here, when you look at both of the texts, it's a simple story about the characters, but at the backdrop, you cannot understand as such, because when we look at any text, any prescribed text, any postmodern text, any post colonial text, the text speaks on various levels. Okay, at that point you can here you have to understand the text at three different layers. One is text, context, and pretext. This seems to be termed as intertextuality. When you start reading a text, you will have a text. Apart from that, you don't have any information. But when we read the text, you have to understand based on the context what the writer is speaking. What I mean by telling context is that why the writer is writing this story. Any writer for that matter, they need to have an agenda. They simply can't write any novel or any poetry or any drama. The socio-political, economic influences will always be there in any text, and we need to understand pretext. What is the backdrop? What is the background? These three elements is very much important when you read and try to understand any text. When you keeping in mind these three concepts or three ideas, you need to understand Heart of Darkness, which is written by Joseph Conrad, as well as A Passage to India, which is written by E.M. Foster. Okay, so both of the text has written in different timing. Okay, both of the text are written in different timing and much earlier to A Passage of Heart of Darkness stands at first, okay, because it was uh, published in 18s and Passage to India was published in 1924. Okay, so um at the background of this, okay, and by understanding these little bit information about text, about post colonial aspect, you need to understand the text, because these two texts speaks more on the colonial aspect. Colonialism, post-colonialism is the after effect of colonialism. Okay, after effect of colonialism. What is colonialism? Colonialism is where the power which engrosses the native power, empowers. It doesn't try to empower the natives in the pretext of it. It tries to capture the minds of the natives. Okay, not only the physical assets which are in and around of the natives, it is not the capturing of so, but it also captures the mind of the natives. It the colonizing power will try to capture the native culture. They try to change according to the Western policies. So just by defeating it, the context, okay, just to overpower, to overcome certain problems, the natives always have to face certain challenges. Okay, coming to the text, coming to dealing with the text, Heart of Darkness, many important aspects are necessary. First and foremost thing is you need to understand uh, the information about biographical details of Joseph Conrad. Who is Joseph Conrad? Joseph Conrad is an English novelist and a short story writer from Polish descent. Okay, Poland is situated in Germany, and it also has a long history. Poland has a long history when you look it in 20th century, 21st century, because Germany reminds you of two important wars, that is First World War and Second World War. Okay, this Germany keeps reminding the disastrous event which happened in the entire world. People do remember, and Hitler is never forgotten when we look at the history of Germany. Okay, so some of the important novels which are written by Joseph Conrad is Lord Jim, Nostromo, The Secret Agent, and the novella Heart of Darkness, which is published in 1902, is very much important. And what is Heart of Darkness a real story? The story is based on the real events which experienced by Joseph Conrad. Yes, the partial event, the crux of the story is the real story experienced by Joseph Conrad in his life. And this novel is based on the real journey that the author took up the Congo in 1890s during King Leopold II of Belgium horrific rule. His rule during his regime, Joseph Conrad took a voyage in the River Congo. Okay, River Congo in 1890. That's how Joseph Conrad has developed the story Heart of Darkness based on his own experience. So, what is the important theme which is spoken by, which the story deals with? As I told you, the backdrop of the story is post colonialism, the colonial aspects, the slavery, labor laws, everything. These are some of the elements which you see during the colonial time. Okay, the Western implements their power on Eastern natives or colonizer native. So in that case, people start struggling. The identity of the natives starts shattering, starts collapsing. So when a native man start collapsing in his own natural instincts, inhabitants, it is a disaster. So these are some of the elements which the story speaks about: the hypocrisy of imperialism. Okay, that is the important theme which the story deals: the hypocrisy of imperialism. So here, the writer, no, the narrator, that is Charles Marlowe, he has a long journey in the story. Okay, Marlowe, just like Joseph Conrad in his real life, has decided to take a voyage from one place to another. Here, journey becomes the motive. A person moving from one place to another has a reason, has a genuine reason. And a person trying to explore a new place, okay, he is introducing himself to a new place, which means to say the journey is based on a genuine reason. It has a motive. Okay, it has a motive. So just like that, Charles Marlowe has a motive to have a to move to the Congo River. Okay, from the outer station, there are three stages. Marlowe moves from outer station to central station, then to inner station. So here, Marlowe starts his journey. Okay, keep this word in mind. Marlowe starts his journey not with the intention. What now? I mean to say that he did not start his journey with the intention to meet a person, unnamed person or unidentified person, that is Kurtz. Okay, the person is name is Kurtz. He did not because he had a different intention. He had a responsibility on his shoulders, and he started his journey to bring back the ivory. Okay, which seems to be a costliest item, ivory, back to the Eastern Company. Charles Marlowe was working for the Eastern Company, so he was assigned a work to bring back the ivory which is captivated by Kurz to the Eastern Company. But Marlowe, as the journey starts from outer station to central station to inner station, his journey, the motive of his journey got changed. Despite gaining the asset which he needs to get, he started developing interest with a person named by Kurtz. Kurtz to Eastern Company is a it's like he's like a terror. Okay, he's like a wanted person. He's like a terrorist. I mean, a wrong person, and he seems to be a threat to the company. Whereas Marlowe started liking him. He was keen to know more about Kurtz. Almost the time he took to reach the person, entire the time he get to know more about Kurtz rather than his assigned work. He is interested, got lesson regarding the ivory, and he just started gaining interest towards Kurtz. So this is the storyline. Marlowe movement or Marlowe's journey from outer station to central station to till inner station. That journey is remarkable in the story. So let me introduce to the story. Okay, let me introduce to the story. The story is very much important. As I told you, journey is the important aspect, and here the setting of the story is Congo. It is in Central Africa. Congo is a place situated in Central Africa. And who is the narrator? The story, the novel opens with an introduction of Charles Marlowe, who is moving. who is taking the journey from the river Thames to river Congo. Okay, in the beginning, you can see Marlowe is sitting on a roof of a boat and he is narrating the story to his fellow beings inside the boat. Okay, his fellow being inside the boat. He is talking about his journey. What story he is trying to say? He is trying to speak about the journey to Congo. Okay, so journey is important aspect. The story begins from Thames River, and the Thames River, along with his friends, he is moving and he's sitting on the rooftop of the boat and sharing his story to everyone. So Malo is a very young person, very enthusiastic. He wanted a job, okay? Because why Marlowe started gaining interest in the voyage or moving on the sea, moving in the boat, because as a young person, he had gone on a Belgium Congo as a riverboat pilot. Okay, he is that was his interest. Henceforth, he developed interest and he started to do work as a pilot or a steamboat pilot, and that's how through his aunt's connection from a well-known aunt, she was connected to many important people. That's how he got the job to work for the Eastern Company. Okay, so Africa, Marlowe got an opportunity to go on a voyage to an African country as a steamboat pilot in the European country. Okay, European company. So company has assigned a work. What was the assigned work? As I told you, it was to bring back the ivory, okay, which was captured by the unknown person till he reached the central station. These places are significant places, and writer has named these places because these are the places where the person halts and his thoughts gets changed. His thoughts gets changed at every station. Okay, station is a place where they stay, and purposefully the novelist has used such a names for the place because he want these places to represent the changes in the motive or mind of the right. So Marlowe he starts his journey to the Congo River. Before that, he wanted to go to the headquarters, company's headquarters, before leaving to Africa. Okay, Congo is situated in Africa, and before leaving there to the place, he wanted to go to the headquarters. There, Belgium Congo is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is said to be Democratic Republic of Congo, and it is situated in Central Africa. And by the time they started their voyage, they could see there was a rampant shooting fire, and people were fighting among themselves. And now Marlowe has begun his journey and he has reached the first station, outer station. There, Marlowe is witnessing Marlowe could see a group of people, confiscated people, who were made to forcefully work hard. They were given very hard work to do, and they were confiscated and forced to do, and they were said to be criminals. Okay, so here Marlowe could see people who are said to be natives are treated as criminals, and criminals are slaves in the nation. And now, as the company people, along with Marlowe, has reached the outer station, they could meet the French ambassador, person, chief accountant. His name is not revealed in the story. He is simply given the name, their designation as their name itself. So the chief accountant was the first person to bring about the name of Kurz. No other person than chief accountant revealed the name of the Kurz, and Marlowe started developing interest to meet the Kurz at this moment. Chief accountant, he said that this person Kurtz stays in a deep jungle and he created his own small place, and for the outer people, means what I mean to say is for the Eastern Company people, Kurtz seemed to be a fearful, very tough tasked person because Kurtz has the capacity of 10 people to collect ivory. Okay, he has that manpower. People around him work for him. Not only him. I mean by saying that Kurtz has the power of 10 people. Kurtz is equivalent to 10 people. I'm not saying that he is a muscular man. Instead, he has that manpower and people are voluntarily supporting him. That is what Kurtz has built of Congo, River Congo. So here, when when Marlowe got to staying in a deep jungles. When they were sailing in the boat, once so happened that boat got disrupted. It was not supporting the sail. Hence, they had to go for repairing. Due to the accident, it got repaired, and people who come there to repair, they did not waste any time. By that, want to make use of that timing, and he went in search of forest. There are many incidents in the story where Marlowe engages himself to understand the nature in and around of Congo, and due due period of time, 3 months or 2 months, it took 2 months, but during that time Marlowe get to know more about Kurtz, his capacities, his nature, his involvement in Congo River. Hence, Kurtz also has he got to know, and he Marlowe also got to know that Kurtz has always many times benefited the company. He has profited the company by this business, ivory business. So Marlowe also visited the steamboat during this time, and he got to meet two other person, that is general manager and brickmaker. These two people were sitting in unrepaired boat that is it will get repaired. Kurtz himself. So Marlowe here over conversation, and but these people had different. Chief accountant was very positive about Kurtz, whereas brick maker, they had a different opinion about Kurtz. Kurtz was said to be a real threat to the company, and it occurs to his praise at the of collecting ivory, which of 10 men. So that is what I told you. He had the capacity, he had the power. Okay, so here, general manager became so inquisitive to see Kurtz. As that of Marlowe, even general manager was so much interested in meeting Kurtz. So, as they started again this journey towards the inner station. Inner station is a place where it's situated in deep jungle. Is a place of Kurtz. So the entire crew of the boat, including Marlowe and the general manager, they started moving towards the inner station. So the journey in the Congo steamboat gets ready. It took 2 months to reach the inner station, and they reached at last. They reached the place of Kurtz. By staying, they could hear the natives who were beating drums. They were making huge noises because they were afraid that, and they were pretty sure that the people from Eastern Company have come to capture Kurds. Okay, they were of much afraid, and they decided to go on a strike. They wanted to do war against the people who have come in a steamboat. They were of the opinion that they will take away Kurds from them. But also, by the time they reach the platform of inner station, they got to know that Kurtz is not in good condition. His health is, you can see from outer station till inner station, you can see the journey of Marlowe where the opinions about Kurtz gets changing. But Marlowe was, his curiosity, mm, his curiosity was not uh, reduced at any point of time. He was so much keen, he was so much into to by the time, yes, beating of drums sent to stop the steamboat, the natives started attacking the members where even Marlowe used weapon to attack them. So there was a small fight between natives of inner station, that of Marlowe. So somehow they managed to enter the inner station. The Russian trader meet them near the shore. Okay, so they wanted to now, general manager and the Russian trader, they wanted to take away Kurtz. So what they did, they took Kurtz in a stretcher, and here the natives are not agreeing to take away the Kurtz because Kurtz seems to be got to them. Kurtz for the natives is got to them, and people have high respects, high respect to Kurtz. And Kurtz, they were supposed to get married, but Kurtz land up in the inner station. Did not have these things did not happen. Good things did not happen in their life. Henceforth, she end up as mistress to Kurtz, and she plays an important role. Even though you can see after at the very end of in the very end of fag end of the novel, she has an important role in Kurt's life, and she stands as a representative person in understanding Kurtz, because Kurtz doesn't have much of conversation with the narrator or Marlowe or any other person, but Kurt's fiancé stands as a mirror image in understanding Kurtz. Okay, a question might arise in your exam related to Kurt's mistress. Okay, and the Russian trader comes near Malo and informed him not to tell anyone about what all he said about Kurtz. Okay, so the conversations were happening between Marlowe, fellow being Russian trader, and they don't want to exchange the impressions which is conversation which happened between them. So at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, it was decided that Kurds to take to the river bank, and they saw the natives who were standing in the group, and they were all shouting in the name of Kurds. Okay, they did not ready to take away Kurds from them. Indeed, day by day, his health was deteriorating, and uh, he was decided that he'll not leave for a longer time. And as such, as they take Kurtz into the steamboat one night, Marlowe went to the room of Kurtz, and Kurtz shared many secretive things, important things to Marlowe. And there was a documentation exchanged between Marlowe and Kurtz. Kurtz surrendered some of the documents which was given by Kurtz, and he left the place. So, meanwhile, just before that, Kurtz took his last breath, and he died in front of Marlowe. And his last words, horror, 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 the horror, the horror. This was the last conversation of words of Kurtz, and he took his last breath. And he was dead, he was no more. And Marlowe, he did not meet anyone after the death of Kurtz. He simply flew back to uh, Europe. Okay, he flew back to Europe, along with the documents given by Kurtz. So after some time, the relatives of Kurtz reached the place of Marlowe along with fiancée of Kurtz, that is mistress of Kurtz. She and the relatives of Kurtz, they went to meet Marlowe, and they were asking here what was the last words to get to know more about Kurtz, because it was Marlowe who spent much time during his last minutes. Okay, hence here Kurtz was praised, was remembered during that time, and Kurt's fiancée, she was very much keen to know about the last words. Individually she went to Marlowe and told what did Kurt say in his last timing, and she said, and Marlowe, he lied to Kurt's fiancée and said that it is her name which was remembered during the last minutes of Kurt's life before his death. So she felt sad, and she started crying. And Marlowe also felt happy. And Marlowe here, he did not reveal what was his real conversation, what did they converse during their last minute. And that's how the story ends. And on the river Thames, Marlowe narrated the story to his fellow being. Okay, his journey to the Congo is, it becomes so important that people get to know him much better. Here, the story Joseph Conrad is introducing Marlowe in such a way that you can see there is a transformation of Marlowe from outer station to central, central to inner station. It's a journey to the from the periphery to the center. Okay, center holds the power. Always center power is very much important. Center holds the power of colonialism, of colonial uh, energy or power. So, being Marlowe being the entity or representative of colonial power, he and tried to understand natives. So, at many junctures it was not possible, but Joseph Conrad, through his story, has successfully brought in many aspects, and many of the questions are unanswered in the story. And the more in your examination, they might ask you about Marlowe, character sketch of Marlowe, and character sketch of um, Kurt's fiancée, unnamed. She doesn't have a name. The writer doesn't reveal her name. So these are some of the important aspects. Imperialism, hypocrisy of imperialism is important theme here. Post-colonial aspects are also important aspects which you can see in the story. Coming to the second second important text prescribed for you is E.M. Foster's A Passage to India, which was published in 1924. Okay, E.M. Foster is also an important poet as that of uh, Joseph Conrad. Ian Foster deals with class differences and hypocrisy. Hypocrisy of imperialism and class differences is completely different. Okay, so here it is hypocrisy of the people. People have double standards, they have different opinions on different places, on different people. So this is said to be hypocrisy, and there is a class difference. Here, a passage to India is a story about the colonial power which controlled India. This story is set in Chandrapur in the early 20th century. So at that time, E.M. Foster has brought in many of his colonial experiences, and here you can see there is a really a beautiful relationship which turns to be a conflicting relationship between British Raj and independent India. Okay, the novel movement, Indian independence movement in 1920s. This story works at two levels. One is the story speaks about the history, and it is also a psychological novel which has the element of realism. Okay, the element of realism exists in the story passage to India. What is the history in the story is that you have already understood many of the you have come across many of the stories where speaks about the relationship of Indians with that of the colonizers, that is British people. Okay, and here in this story also you can see people how Indians and Eastern people. That is the core question of the story. In the chapter 22, you can see that how the writer questions through his characters. The writer questions that can Indians and English become friends. That is the important central question of the story, which lies in chapter 2. Okay, so here the main theme of the story is racism and colonialism. Okay, this racism and colonialism, and the story is written. E.M. Foster writes this story, some part of the story in India and some part of the story in England. The story is set in Chandrapur. It seems to be a typical Indian city, Indian tourist city like, and this is the time where India, it also gives a picturization of India under the colonial rule, under the colonial rule. That is the story given by E.M. Foster. The story goes around between three important characters. One is Dr. Aziz, he's a Muslim doctor, okay, in Chandrapur. Chandrapur is a place where the story is constructed or developed. And the other two important characters, that is Miss Adela Quest and Mrs. Moore. Okay, these two people have come a long way from England. Okay, they have come from England to India because Mrs. Moore's son, that is Mr. Ronnie, her son, is working in India as an officer. Okay, because that time in early 1920s, it was the period of colonialism, and Britishers were ruling us. Okay, so that's how this seems to, as I told you, the novel is a story of realism. It has a story element of realism, and it is a psychological novel as well, because you through these characters, E.M. Foster is trying to bring about the psychological aspect of the natives as that of the Western people. Okay, the writer, the at the end of the story, you can see that Britishers and natives can be friends, but once Britishers only Britishers and Indians can be friends only when they are free from the power entities. Indians should be free from the clutches of Britishers, and Britishers should also be free from their empowering quality. Okay, then only Britishers and Indians can be friends. Apart from that, there is no other way they two poles apart energies can be together. Okay, so the story goes like this, where Miss Aziz, he gets to meet these two people, that is Miss Adela Quested and Mrs. Moore. These three important characters sets the story. So what is the role played by these two people? Dr. Aziz is a widower. His wife is no more. He is independently working, but he has his own representation, his own reservations towards the Englishmen. Initially, he did not had any opinions related to the English power or English authorities till the time he himself got an experience with so-called people. Okay, so these two characters, Miss Adela and Mrs. Moore, they are related to each other. While Mrs. Moore is would-be mother-in-law to Miss Adela, and Miss Adela was supposed to get married to Ronnie after some time. But Mrs. Moore, she's so inquisitive. She is a gentle lady. She had a desire to see the real India. The moment they set uh, their they entered India, they simply disclosed to the readers that they want to see the real India. What is real India? What's so real? How can you see the real India? Is it through the people? Is it through the behavior of the people? Is it through the culture of the people? Or is it through their tradition? So all this confined together, uh, they're confined together, you will see the real India. Otherwise, it's not possible to see the real India. So as Mrs. Moore entered, she asked for the real India. So in a club, it so happened that how Mrs. Moore and Mr. Adela they met together is that they met in a club. Okay, within few minutes they got to know each other. They shared their common interest, and Mrs. Adela, Mrs. Moore, she became so friendly with Dr. Aziz. And once so happened that there was a local collector in Chandrapur named Mr. Turton. Okay, Turton was the name of the collector, local collector of Chandrapur, who hosted a party which is called as Bridge Party. It is in the text also, you can see that it is a bridge party. At bridge party, these two people, he wanted his agenda to host a party. He wanted to uh, allow Mrs. Moore and Miss Adela to meet some of the Indians. So in that meeting, in that party, they also invited the local college principal, that is Cyril Fielding. Okay, Cyril Fielding is an Englishman. He was also invited, and Cyril, he had an admiration for Mrs. Moore, and he became so friendly with Miss Adela as well. Cyril Fielding, who is supposed to be the principal of the college, he got to know Miss Adela very well, and one. It so happened that Cyril Fielding, principal of the college, he invited Mrs. Adela, Miss Adela and Mrs. Moore to a tea party. After bridge party, after the conclusion of it, they meet at a tea party, and Mrs. Moore insisted Cyril to call Dr. Aziz for the tea party. Okay, Cyril Fielding invited Dr. Aziz, and in the tea party, which includes Dr. Aziz, Mrs. Moore, Miss Adela, they become friends. And in the tea party, even Dr. Aziz and Cyril Fielding, they got to know each other and they become good friends. And you can see here that the East and the West are coming together and they becoming friends. And there was one another person, important person, that is Professor Godbole, who was a professor in the College of Cyril Fielding. He was a Hindu professor. He was also invited to tea party. So all five of together, they decided that Dr. Aziz, he proposed a factor that he want to take them all to see the Malabar caves. Okay, he was the person who raised the topic of visiting the Malabar caves. So all of them agreed, or Cyril Fielding, Mr. Professor Godbole, Dr. Aziz, Miss Adela, Mrs. Moore, all five of together, they decided that the very next day, they are going on a trip. So, unfortunately, on the day of the trip, Cyril Fielding and Professor Godbole, they missed the train, and only three of them, that is Mr. Dr. Aziz, Godbole, Adela and Mrs. Moore, they started their journey to Malabar Caves. They somehow reached, and along with the guide, they reached the Malabar Caves. There, in the Malabar Caves, they spent very quality time, all of them together, and they could see all the caves which are there. They could visit. They had a elephant riding. They enjoyed the picnic, and even the sightseeing was so beautiful, and they were moving from one cave to other. There, Mrs. Moore, she started moving all alone. She was moving independently. Miss Adela and Dr. Aziz, who were standing together, there happened an incident where Miss Adela, she asked a infuriating, humiliating question to Dr. Aziz, saying that, "How many wives do you have?" Was the question asked by to Dr. Aziz by Miss Adela. He became very unhappy. His mood got changed. Henceforth, Dr. Aziz moved from the cave which where Miss Adela was there. He moved from that cave, and to just to what to say, just to get the happy mood, just to correct his mood. Meanwhile, by the time he returned back to the cave where Miss Adela was there, by that time Adela had already left the cave. He doesn't know what had happened. The broken the telescope which was lying broken, and even Dr. Aziz was clueless what had happened to Miss Adela. She was simply left the place without talking to Mrs. Moore or any other person, and even these two persons, that is Godbole and Cyril, who missed the train, by this time has reached the place Malabar Caves, and they could see that Adela is very disturbed and she is leaving the place. By the time Dr. Aziz reached the railway platform, police people had come to arrest Dr. Aziz. Okay, he was arrested, and she and there was a complaint, there was an accusation. He was arrested on the accusation that he tried to misbehave with Miss Adela Quest. Okay, so that was the accusation which she pawned upon Dr. Aziz. No people believed her accusation. That is, even Cyril did not believe that Dr. Aziz is such a person. Even any other person, God Bole, even Mrs. Moore, being an English lady, she did not agree of the accusation. Ronnie becomes supposed to be a fiancé of Miss Adela. He also become very much disturbed. And by this time, Adela has a clear intention of not getting married to Mrs. Moore's son, that is Ron. So Ronnie is very much angry, and he decides that these two ladies, that is Mrs. Moore and Miss Adela, they are supposed to leave for England. But before that, there was a trial scene, and in the trial, Adela, there was a conversation between two parties, Indian party and the Englishman party, and between these two parties, they come to the conclusion that Adela was she mistook the situation which happened in the caves. She got disturbed by the sounds which were happening in the cave, and she doesn't know. She was very much sure that Dr. Aziz was not in the inside the cave where Miss Adela was also standing. Instead, it was a assumption that someone has touched her, someone has misconducted or misbehaved with her, and she accepts her mistake. And Indians become very happy, okay, by listening to the judgment of the court of the trial. All the Indians become very happy about the court decision. She, even Adela, she accepts the mistake which happened during out of confusion. And now, after this trial, Dr. Aziz, who was so humble, he is completely changed himself. He is not this person whom we see in the first half of the story. Now he's changed and he has become anti British. He's become so patriotic. He simply says, quite often, says that till the time Britishers leave the country, till the time until then Indians and Britishers cannot be good friends. Okay, before that he had the opinion that they can be good friends, people of east and west can be good friends, but after this incident he changed himself. And Dr. Aziz, who is supposed to be Cyril Fielding after this court trial, gave assistance, gave shelter to Adela because she was sent out of Ronnie house. And Cyril, he gave shelter to Adela for some time till she get back to England, return back to England. And by this incident, even Dr. Aziz think that Cyril is not his good friend. Okay, and he also think that they two are getting married. It did not happen. So Cyril, Adela, Mrs. Moore, they all left to England. And after 2 years, Cyril family again they came back to India. But then Cyril did not marry to Adela. Instead, he married to Stella, who is supposed to be Mrs. Moore's daughter, only daughter. Okay, Ronnie's sister and Mrs. Moore's daughter, that is Stella. Cyril got married to Stella. And now, at present, Dr. Aziz, he has left Chandrapur and now he is staying in a place called Mau, Mau, Mau. He is staying there. And after this incident, after Cyril is back from England to India, now they are in talking terms, but Aziz is not showing the friendship which is supposed to show, which means to say that as they are not in good terms now. So Dr. Aziz has once takes Ralph Moore to see the festival. They are in connection, but it's not as that of it was supposed to be. Okay, it was they have developed the differences. Despite Cyril gets married to Mrs. Moore, daughter Stella, Dr. Aziz's impression on Cyril is not same. It's not same. It's completely different now. Dr. Aziz expresses his wish that once India is free from the Britishers, Fielding and Aziz can be great good friends. Means they really are good friends, but their identity, which is like earth and sky, has created differences between them. Yes, they are good friends because the identity which they dwell, the cocoon which they dwell, always stands separate. They are not one and the same. Okay, whatever may be the connecting point, but the identity which they inherit, the place which they inherit makes to stand them separately. It will not allow them to be one and the same. Okay, so henceforth Cyril and Dr. Aziz, despite their love for each other, they have to stand in two different paths because of their nationalism, because of their identity. Okay, their friendship is divided based on racism and colonial disputes, which is helping them to become a real lifetime good friends. They are good friends, but they have to stand apart. Okay, so both these stories, Heart of Darkness and A Passage to India, have brought in many inputs, have helped in to understand how colonial power disrupts the life of the commoner. Okay, common feelings, common individuality, common entities get disturbed and disrupted. Okay, here because of this identity in passage to India, because of these differences, because they belong to two different places. One is colonized and the other one is colonizer. Due to these differences, they had to be apart. Okay, and you can see here Dr. Aziz is of the opinion that whatever the Western does, it is considered to be a mistake. But if the same is done with the Westerner, the Easterner, it would have been much more. And at all levels, Miss Adela questions uh, their heritage, their culture. She was, what to say, she tries to humiliate the natives. Natives culture is not treated with respect. Their culture is looked down upon. So these are some of the factors, backdrops which you need to understand when you read a passage to India. And when it comes to Heart of Darkness is a novel. It's a novel where you can see fair treatment, sustainability, all these are different. Okay, the fair treatment, there is no fair treatment. Marlowe Kurtz was not given a fair treatment despite his love for people, native people love for him. Marlowe love for him. No one. It was the culture, the constitution setup is such a way that no one can treat the other person with equal importance and equal respect. Okay, so some of the critics they comment that value are born out of post-colonialism. Okay, many of the values, human values, are watershadowed or under the light of colonialism. Labor laws, women rights, social rights. These are some of the uh, cultural, societal issues which cannot be solved under the power of colonialism. So there are many other important texts which you need to read to understand, to have a better understanding of colonialism. Okay, Edward Said, Orientalism is a good book to understand post-colonialism. The writer like Gayatri Spivak, writer like Homi Baba. These are some of the Ania Lumba. Okay, so there are many critics books you need to read to understand the post-colonialism, and its tenses. Okay, otherwise it is difficult. But as per the concern of the story, you need to understand the setup in which the story deals. Here, at one novel, it is a journey inwardly. It is an inward journey. Marlowe is not taking the journey to the inner station or journey into the imagination, but it is a journey within his own self. He's finding answers for the questions the society is being raised. And on the other hand, Passage to India, it is also a journey to have identity, to have control over our fate. Dr. Aziz, he proved he stands for his cultural aspect. He stands still for his societal aspects, and he proved right. Okay, so here the colonial power disrupts the natives. That is the important aspect. And two, Heart of Darkness speaks more on the racism, and Passage to India 2 speaks on the psychological aspect more than the history. It sheds light on the psychological aspect, how psychologically Dr. Aziz suffered the humiliations and differentiations in the Western truth. So these are some of the aspects which you need to concentrate on. Okay, I hope you have understood the story in a nutshell, because because of the time constraint we could not uh, deal the novel with at most. Yes, Adela already know he go in a separate way, but she blames to Aziz why she's not blame that guide. So maybe because of their friendship, and it is definitely people have that mindset where whatever there is what we call the way we call a person, we make them to stand in a wrong place. And Adela, she had prejudiced notions about Indians. Okay, Indians are not civilized, Indians are not cultured, they don't know what to behave. And Miss Dr. Aziz is a Muslim. Okay, so we already know what mindset. The moment we say the person is a Muslim, we have our own prejudiced notions. We don't even think about the facts and figures. We simply blame the person for no reason. Okay, we don't have a proper reason for that. So Aziz, she thinks that it is all her hallucinations. Adela, she has that hallucination. She doesn't know. And moreover, Dr. Aziz was the central figure in the situation there. He was a central person. And as the consequence, she thinks that it is Aziz. And Adela was completely, because already the more they move around in the caves, Mrs. Moore and Adela, they were already drained, okay, because of the sound, because of the ambience, and they're already tired. They were not knowing what is happening in the end around of them, and but only they see to it that whatever happens, it's all because of Aziz, Doctor Aziz. So that's how. She holds the Adela Aziz for as responsible for the misconduct. It was completely her hallucination. She even doesn't know what all happened to her. It is a play of light, sound, and her tension. For all these reasons, she um, she gets disturbed. No one attacked Adela. No one attacked Adela. It is simply a hallucination, because the entire the day they were tired, okay, and the sound which was the echo sound which they hear in the inside the case, it was making it was creating hallucination. Okay, no one attacked Adela. No one attacked Adela. Any more questions? I hope I have answered. Any questions? Okay then. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow at the same time with the Greek French dramas. Okay, thank you so much.